First Contact's price. The massive research vessel, Eternal Seeker, hung silently in the void beyond Earth's moon, its crystalline observation arrays pointed toward the blue planet below. Inside the ship's primary research chamber, lead observer Valix pressed her iridescent tentacles against the neural interface, processing the latest data from their covered observation posts. "Impossible," she whispered, her bioluminescent patterns flickering with distress. "Run the analysis again." Her assistant, Cree, a younger member of their species with still developing chromatic organs, interfaced with another terminal. "Already done, lead observer. 3 times. The data remains consistent." The chamber's holographic displays showed multiple scenes from across Earth's various environments. Humans climbing sheer cliff faces without safety equipment, diving to crushing depths with primitive breathing apparatus, running through scorching deserts carrying heavy loads, surviving in frozen wastelands with minimal shelter. No single species should be able to adapt to such extreme conditions, Valix noted, her patterns now showing deep concern. Yet they don't just survive, they thrive. The Eternal Seeker had been stationed at Earth for 1 standard cycle, tasked by the Galactic Scientific Council with evaluating humanity's potential threat level. First Contact protocols required thorough assessment of any newly discovered spacefaring species, but humans have proven difficult to categorize. "Display the endurance trials," Valix commanded. The holograms shifted to show humans participating in various athletic events, marathon runners covering impossible distances, swimmers crossing vast ocean channels, athletes pushing through injuries that would incapacitate most sentient species. Cree's patterns flickered with academic excitement. "Their recovery abilities are fascinating. Look at this." He brought up medical data. "Their bodies don't just heal, they adapt. Broken bones grow back stronger. Torn muscles rebuild with greater density. Every injury makes them more resilient." "That's what concerns me," Valix replied. "They're not just surviving random challenges. They're deliberately seeking them out, testing their limits, preparing." Their discussion was interrupted by a priority alert. Another observation post had captured new data. The holographic display shifted to show a remote mountain region. A group of humans was attempting to rescue others trapped by an avalanche. The temperature was well below freezing. The oxygen levels were dangerously low. Yet the rescuers had been working for over 20 hours straight. "Notice their problem-solving approach," Valix pointed out. "They're not just using brute force or technology. They're combining physical endurance with tactical thinking. Each failure teaches them something new." Cree's patterns showed confusion. "But surely their advancement into space will diminish these traits. Most species lose their primitive capabilities as they develop technology." Valix brought up spacecraft designs that human agencies had been developing. "Look at their vessels. They're not building ships to replace their natural abilities. They're designing them to enhance those capabilities. Their spacesuits are flexible enough for complex physical movements. Their ship layouts prioritize crew endurance for long-duration missions." "The Council won't like this report," Cree noted, his patterns dimming slightly. "No, they won't," Valix agreed. "Because humans aren't just another predator species that developed intelligence. They're predators who have maintained their hunting instincts while developing problem-solving abilities. And now they're looking to the stars." She interfaced with the ship's primary database, bringing up comparison charts with other known species. Most predator species that achieve spacefaring status lose their edge. They become comfortable with technology, dependent on it. But humans, she highlighted recent data. They're using technology to become better predators. The chamber fell silent as they watched new footage. A human rescue team was responding to a space station accident in a neighboring system. The radiation levels were lethal for most species. The rescue team's equipment was primitive by galactic standards. Yet they managed to save the station's crew through a combination of physical endurance, improvised solutions, and sheer determination. "They don't know when to stop," Cree observed, his patterns showing a mix of admiration and fear. "Even when their bodies should fail, they keep going." That's what makes them unique, Volix said. Other species know their limits. Humans? They see limits as challenges to overcome. And now they're bringing that mindset to space exploration. She began composing her report to the Council. The implications were clear but troubling. Humanity wasn't just reaching for the stars. They were hunting them. Every challenge they faced, every obstacle they overcame, made them more dangerous. What will you recommend? Cree asked. Velix's patterns shifted to deep crimson, indicating grave concern. The truth. That we've discovered something unprecedented. A species that combines the raw instincts of an apex predator with the intelligence to enhance those instincts rather than replace them. And they're not content staying on their world. As if to emphasize her point, the displays showed new data from Earth. Space agencies worldwide were accelerating their programs. New ships were being built. More ambitious missions were being planned. Humanity was coming to the stars. The galaxy has grown comfortable, Volix continued. The established species have forgotten what it means to strive, to push boundaries. But humans, their hunger made manifest. Every achievement just makes them hunger for more. She completed her report with a final observation. We are not ready for them. No one is, because humanity isn't just reaching for the stars. They're hunting them. And everything in their history suggests that what humans hunt, they eventually catch. The Eternal Seeker's engines powered up, preparing to return to Council space. As they departed, Volix watched Earth growing smaller on their displays. She couldn't shake the feeling that they weren't leaving humanity behind. They were just giving them a head start in a race they didn't know had begun. The hunt begins. Admiral Chen Zhang stood at the bridge of the EFS Relentless, watching tactical displays track the movement of the Ravager fleet. The alien vessels had struck 3 colonial outposts in the past month, their attacks precise and devastating. They thought humanity would be an easy target, new to the galactic stage. They were about to learn otherwise. Status report. Chen commanded, her voice steady despite 20 hours at her post. Lieutenant Santos, dark circles under his eyes, but attention unwavering, responded from his station. The Ravagers are maintaining their current heading, Admiral. They think they've lost us in the Helios Nebula. Chen allowed herself a small smile. The Ravagers, like most established galactic species, relied heavily on advanced sensor technology. They didn't understand that humans had spent millennia tracking prey through much worse conditions than a little cosmic dust. Launch the Hunter-Seekers, she ordered. The small, unmanned vessels were based on ancient terrestrial tracking devices, combined with space-age technology. Like their ancestors placing trackers on animal herds, humanity had learned to tag their prey. Hours passed. The bridge crew maintained their vigilance, working in carefully coordinated shifts. While other species might lose focus during such a long pursuit, humans had evolved for exactly this kind of patient hunting. Contact, Santos announced suddenly. Hunter-Seeker 7 has picked up their ion trail. They're heading toward the Meridian trading routes. Chen nodded, just as expected. Predators always return to rich hunting grounds. She opened a channel to the fleet. All vessels, implement Operation Long Hunt. The human fleet split into smaller groups, each taking position along predicted escape routes. It was a strategy borrowed from ancient hunting parties, who would position themselves along animal migration paths. The Ravagers might have faster ships and better weapons, but humanity had millions of years of predatory instincts to draw upon. They've spotted our pursuit fleet, Santos reported. They're increasing speed, burning fuel at an unsustainable rate. Let them run, Chen replied. Every predator knows that tired prey makes mistakes. The chase continued for 3 more days. The Ravagers tried every trick in their considerable arsenal, sensor jamming, false trails, debris fields. But they didn't understand what they were dealing with. Humans hadn't just adapted their bodies for space. They'd adapted their entire hunting methodology. On the 4th day, the first Ravager ship fell into their trap. Running low on fuel, it attempted to make an emergency stop at a remote supply station. Instead, it found the EFS Huntress waiting in ambush. First prey caught, Commander Sarah Martinez of the Huntress reported, her voice carrying the same satisfaction as ancient hunters after a successful chase. The rest of their fleet is starting to show signs of stress. Chen watched as the tactical display updated. The Ravager fleet was beginning to scatter, their coordinated movement breaking down. It was a pattern she had seen countless times in nature documentaries. A prey group losing cohesion under sustained pressure. They're breaking formation, Santos confirmed. 2 vessels attempting to reach the Carina sector, 3 moving toward the Galactic core. Activate Phase 2, Chen ordered. Across light years of space, human ships began moving into new positions. Like their ancestors herding prey toward killing grounds, they were slowly but surely pushing the Ravagers exactly where they wanted them. The next 48 hours demonstrated why humanity had become the galaxy's most feared hunters. One by one, the Ravager ships were cut off from escape routes, their crews exhausted from constant evasive maneuvers. The human fleet maintained their pursuit with mechanical precision but animal cunning. When the last Ravager vessel finally surrendered, its captain requested to meet the human commander who had orchestrated their defeat. Chen agreed, more out of curiosity than protocol. The Ravager captain, a tall, chitinous being named Kralvex, seemed unable to comprehend what had happened. "Your ships are inferior," he stated upon meeting Chen. "Your weapons less advanced. Your sensors primitive. How did you defeat us?" Chen smiled, the expression probably lost on the alien's compound eyes. "You relied on technology to make you better hunters. We used technology to enhance what we already were. Your ships are faster, but they tire. Your weapons are stronger, but they depend on perfect conditions. You fight like machines, we hunt like predators." "You pursued us for 7 days," Kralvex said, his mandibles clicking in agitation. "No other species would maintain such a chase." "7 days is nothing," Chen replied. "Our ancestors would pursue prey for weeks across burning plains and frozen tundra. Space is just another hunting ground. And we've had millions of years of evolution teaching us how to hunt." As she walked away from the meeting, Chen received a priority message from Earth Command. More raids had been reported along the galactic rim. New prey for humanity to hunt. She smiled again, feeling the familiar surge of anticipation that had driven her species from African savannas to the stars. The hunt would continue, and the galaxy was learning what Earth's prehistoric prey have discovered long ago. You can run from humans, but they will never stop following. Breaking point. The Galactic Defense Council's emergency session was interrupted by urgent news from the front lines. The massive holographic display at the center of the chamber showed the impossible. The human fleet had breached the Helios blockade, a defensive line that had held for 3 centuries against all attackers. High Commander Zixtal, his crystalline form clouded with stress patterns, addressed the gathered representatives. "They didn't overpower our defenses. They didn't need to. They simply outlasted them." The footage showed human ships bearing substantial damage but still operational, continuing their advance despite conditions that should have rendered both crews and vessels non-functional. They had endured 3 weeks of constant combat, radiation storms, and gravitational stresses that would have broken most species. Report from the medical division, a junior officer announced, her feathers rustling with anxiety. Human prisoners from previous encounters are displaying accelerated healing rates. Their injuries aren't just recovering, they're adapting. Each wound makes them more resilient. The council chamber erupted in concerned murmurs. Delegate Tivan, representing the merchant worlds, raised a crystalline appendage. "Surely this is impossible. No species can sustain such prolonged combat operations." "That's what we thought," Zixtal replied. But observe their shift rotations. The display showed interior footage from a captured human vessel. While some crew members rest, others maintain combat effectiveness. They can continue this cycle indefinitely. New tactical data streamed across the displays. Human ships operating in conditions that should have killed their crews. Ground forces advancing through toxic atmospheres with minimal protection. Engineering teams working in radiation zones long past safe exposure limits. They're not just surviving these conditions, the medical officer continued. They're learning from them. Each exposure strengthens their resilience. It's as if their entire species evolved to become stronger through adversity. The council watched footage of a recent engagement. A human ship, severely damaged and venting atmosphere, continued pursuing its target. The crew, working in sealed suits, maintained their stations despite injuries and system failures. They didn't just complete their mission. They seemed to draw strength from the challenge. Their psychological profiles are even more concerning, Sixtall added. Most species experience combat fatigue after extended engagements. Humans, they become more focused, more determined. They call it getting their second wind. The display shifted to show human ground forces advancing through a toxic swamp on a contested world. Their protective gear was compromised, their supplies running low. Yet they maintained formation, adapting their tactics to the deteriorating conditions. Look at their problem-solving approach, a tactical analyst noted. They're not just relying on training or technology. They're innovating in real time, combining instinct with intelligence. Each obstacle they overcome teaches them something new. A silence fell over the chamber as the implications became clear. The Galactic Defense Forces had based their strategies on conventional warfare, overwhelming force, superior technology, perfect conditions. But humans didn't fight conventionally. They hunted. We've intercepted their communications, Sixtall continued. Listen to this. The chamber's audio systems played a message from a human commander to their forces. Remember what we are. Every step our ancestors took across Earth's harshest terrains lives in our DNA. Every hunt they completed flows in our blood. Space is just another savanna to cross, another forest to track through. We don't need perfect conditions. We just need to keep moving forward. The council members shifted uncomfortably. Their species had evolved for specific environments, developing technology to overcome their limitations. Humans had evolved to adapt to any environment, then developed technology to enhance that adaptability. They're not stopping, Sixtall concluded. The Helios blockade was our strongest defensive line, and they didn't defeat it. They wore it down. Our forces retreated not because they were overpowered, but because they couldn't maintain their position indefinitely. Humans can. The tactical display updated with new information. Human fleet movements showed no sign of slowing. Their advance was methodical, relentless. They weren't rushing toward objectives. They were pursuing them with the patience of experienced hunters. We built our defenses assuming we'd face enemies who think like us, Sixtall said. But humans don't think like us. They don't see limitations. They see challenges. They don't recognize impossible odds because their entire evolutionary history is about overcoming them. As if to emphasize his point, new alerts appeared. Human forces had adapted their tactics, using the radiation storms that had previously hindered them to mask their movements. They were turning hostile conditions into advantages. The council chamber fell silent again, each member contemplating the implications. They had prepared for war with a spacefaring civilization. Instead, they were facing something far more dangerous, a species that had taken every harsh lesson learned on their evolutionary journey and applied it to warfare among the stars. The hunt was far from over, and humanity was just getting started. Predator's evolution. The research facility deep within Ganymede's ice sheets was humanity's best-kept secret. Dr. Elena Volkov stood before a group of wide-eyed military observers, her weathered face illuminated by holographic displays showing humanity's latest innovations in space warfare. Evolution didn't stop when we reached the stars, she began, her voice carrying the weight of decades spent studying human adaptation. We're not just surviving in space, we're becoming something new. The main display showed prototype combat suits that looked more like synthetic skin than traditional armor. Project Apex, Elena continued. Bioneural interfaces that don't just protect our troops, they enhance our natural predatory instincts. Commander James Chen, fresh from the Helios campaign, stepped forward to demonstrate. The suit flowed over his body like liquid metal, its surface shifting to match surrounding colors. Neural linkages connected directly with his nervous system, extending his natural senses far beyond human norms. Our ancestors were pursuit predators, Alina explained as James moved through a series of combat scenarios. They didn't have the strongest claws or the sharpest teeth. They had something better, the ability to adapt and overcome. We're taking that same evolutionary advantage into space. The observers watched in stunned silence as James demonstrated the suit's capabilities. He tracked targets through solid walls using enhanced sensory input, his movements becoming more fluid and predatory with each passing minute. The suit wasn't controlling him. It was amplifying what was already there. Traditional military doctrine focuses on overwhelming force, Alina continued. But that's not how our species hunts. We succeed through persistence, through adaptation, through learning our prey's patterns and exploiting them. These suits allow us to do that on an unprecedented scale. New data streamed across the displays, neural patterns showing how the human brain adapted to the enhanced capabilities. Unlike other species who often rejected such deep integration with technology, humans embraced it, their neural plasticity allowing for rapid adaptation. But the suits are just the beginning, Alina said, switching to another display. Project Genesis represents the next step in our evolution as space predators. The hologram showed a new class of stealth ship, its design unlike anything in the human fleet. We studied deep-sea predators from Earth's oceans, Alina explained, creatures that evolved perfect hunting techniques over millions of years. Then we applied those lessons to space warfare. The ship's hull could alter its energy signature like a chameleon changing colors. Its movement patterns mimicked those of natural predators. Patient observation followed by swift, decisive strikes. But most importantly, it learned from every encounter. Its AI systems modeled on predatory instinct rather than pure logic. The Galactic Defense Council thinks they're fighting a conventional war, Alina noted. They don't understand that we're not just bringing weapons to this conflict, we're bringing 4 billion years of evolutionary history. Every adaptation our ancestors developed to survive and hunt on Earth is being repurposed for space. The demonstration continued, showing how human crews interfaced with these new vessels. The neural links weren't just for control, they extended the crew's natural hunting instincts to the scale of space combat. A human pilot could sense energy fluctuations like a shark detecting electrical signals, track multiple targets like an eagle scanning the ground, move through debris fields with the grace of a wolf through dense forest. Our greatest strength isn't our technology, Alina concluded. It's our ability to adapt that technology to enhance what we already are. We're not trying to become machines. We're becoming better predators. As if to prove her point, new combat footage appeared on the screens. A Genesis-class ship stalking a superior enemy force through an asteroid field, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The human crew's enhanced instincts working in perfect harmony with their vessel's advanced systems. The galaxy thinks they understand human warfare now, Alina said, her voice carrying a hint of pride. They've analyzed our ships, studied our tactics, prepared their defenses. But they're still thinking like engineers, not hunters. They don't understand that every technology we develop, every innovation we create, serves one purpose, to make us better at what we've always been. The observers left the facility that day with a new understanding of humanity's path among the stars. They weren't just adapting to space, they were adapting space to fit their evolutionary heritage. Every new technology, every breakthrough, was filtered through 4 billion years of predatory instinct. The hunt was evolving, and humanity was leading the way. Nature's legacy. 10 years after humanity's emergence onto the galactic stage, the Great Hall of the Galactic Council looked very different. Among the crystalline beings, insectoids, and energy forms that had dominated galactic politics for millennia. A new species now held equal standing. The human representative, Ambassador Sarah Chen, stood at the podium, her presence a reminder of how much had changed. Fellow members of the council, she began, her voice carrying easily through the vast chamber. Today we celebrate a decade of human participation in galactic affairs. Some of you feared us, others doubted us. All of you underestimated us. The assembled delegates shifted uncomfortably, remembering their initial dismissal of humanity as primitive pursuit predators. How wrong they had been. But we're not here to remind you of past conflicts, Sarah continued. We're here to talk about the future, about what humanity brings to the galaxy beyond our reputation as hunters. The main display activated, showing scenes from across human space. But these weren't images of warfare or pursuit. They showed human search and rescue teams braving impossible conditions to save alien crews. Human scientists working alongside other species, combining predatory instinct with collaborative innovation. Human ships tracking down pirates and smugglers not for glory, but to protect galactic trade routes. Yes, we are predators, Sarah acknowledged. But what many of you fail to understand is that predators don't just destroy. They maintain balance. On Earth, predator species helped ecosystems thrive by controlling populations and promoting adaptation. That's the role we seek in the galaxy. New footage appeared, showing the aftermath of the recent Nexus crisis, when a chain of artificial wormholes began collapsing, threatening dozens of worlds. It was human ships that led the rescue efforts. They tracked missing vessels through supposedly impossible conditions, their crews working far beyond normal endurance limits to save lives of all species. Our predatory nature gave us more than just the ability to hunt, Sarah explained. It gave us persistence in the face of adversity, determination when confronted with impossible odds, the ability to adapt to any challenge. These aren't just combat traits, they're survival traits. And now they're traits we use to protect and preserve. The display shifted again, showing the new Galactic Defense Force. Human pursuit tactics were now being taught alongside traditional combat methods. Human endurance training was helping other species push past their perceived limitations. The very traits that had once terrified the galaxy were now being used to defend it. But perhaps our greatest contribution, Sarah continued, is something subtler. Something that comes from being what we are. She paused, looking around the chamber. We remind the galaxy that comfort breeds stagnation, that challenges breed strength, that adaptation is not just about survival, it's about growth. The evidence was undeniable. Since humanity's arrival, technological advancement had accelerated across all species. The constant challenge of keeping up with human adaptation had spurred innovation throughout the galaxy. Worlds that had been content with their development for millennia were now pushing boundaries, exploring new possibilities. Look at what we've accomplished together, Sarah said, gesturing to the latest displays. Joint human-alien research projects were producing breakthroughs in fields from medicine to space travel. Human predatory instincts, combined with alien technological expertise, had solved problems that had stumped the galaxy for generations. We didn't come to the stars to conquer, she concluded. We came to hunt. But what we hunt isn't prey. It's knowledge, challenges, opportunities to grow and adapt. And we invite all of you to hunt with us. As Sarah finished speaking, the chamber erupted in approving gestures from various species. The same traits that had once made humanity feared now made them valued allies. Their predatory nature, once seen as a threat, had become a catalyst for galactic progress. In the depths of space, human ships still prowled, their crews ever vigilant. But now they hunted alongside alien allies, sharing their strength, teaching others to push past their limits. They had become what nature had always meant them to be, not just predators, but protectors of the complex ecosystem they inhabited. The galaxy had learned what Earth's wildlife had discovered millions of years ago. Humans were dangerous, yes, but they were also essential. They brought change, challenged stagnation, forced adaptation, and in doing so, they made everything around them stronger. Humanity's greatest hunt wasn't for prey or power, it was for progress. And that was a hunt that would never end.